All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. I feel like we're getting to know each other pretty well these days. So this is Gale Professional Development 103. Today we are going to actually start to build, we are going to start to build our product. I am going to share my screen just quickly so we can go over a short PowerPoint presentation, and then we're going to go live into the product. And I do want to hear your feedback. I want you to work along with me. I'm a firm believer that we learn best by doing. So that is our goal by the end of this 30 minutes, is that we're actually going to do this together. So just to review, you do have a wonderful collection of Gale eBooks to support your professional development. Your collection is aligned to the Danielson Framework for Teaching. And here on the right-hand side of my screen, you're going to see exactly what your collection looks like when you log in. There are multiple entry points. Again, you can enter through the Library Media Services LibGuide. You can also enter through the Professional Development and Learning portal. I know some schools actually have a link to the collection on their own LibGuide. So regardless of where you're entering the collection, you are going to want to look for this icon, and it's going to take you to the same exact place. To log in, it will look like this screen here on the left. You do need a password. It is JCPSPD. It does not have to be capital. It can be lowercase. And then again, when you log in, this will be your screen. So yesterday we talked about the 5 simple steps to starting a book study or a text set. Just want to review, you need to identify your who, what, when, where, and why, also known as your audience, your goal, the book or the text set, the format and the platform you wish to use, and then actually facilitate the book study. So this was a little bit about text sets. It's what we talked about yesterday and the benefits of using a text set. Today, we are going to actually build a text set for school leaders to help them support their own teachers. And I do want to remind you that if you come across a topic that you want to learn more about to help you develop your practice and you don't find the topic in your virtual library, please reach out to the PDL department and let them know that you need additional ebooks on that topic. So these are some ideas that you can use today. I know that planning a book study or a text set study can take some time and commitment, but these are things that when we grab some content today and we share it out to our Google Drive, you could actually push out as early as next week or even tomorrow. I always like to have a theme just because that's who I am, but you could do Motivational Monday, Teamwork Tuesdays, whatever goes Wednesday, let's talk about it Thursday, or the Just For Me Friday. And that will be perfect for the things that we are talking about today. I do want to discuss compassion fatigue. I will be the first to admit that I fell victim to compassion fatigue. I chose this picture here on the right because the last time I was on an airplane, I was thinking about nothing that the flight attendant was saying. But all of a sudden, I looked up at the exact moment that she was talking about the oxygen mask should your cabin lose pressure. And she made a statement that you have to put your mask on first because you are not able to help those around you if you can't breathe yourself. And that is truly what compassion fatigue for teachers is. Classrooms are constantly filled with these victims of trauma. They're carrying all sorts of baggage. And after what we're experiencing now, I think you'll be hard-pressed to find a single student who hasn't experienced some form of trauma. So teachers are at risk of caring too much. It's just who we are. We give everything we have, and we love our students with our whole heart. But with that, you can get burnout. So we're going to talk about some ways, some professional development titles, some chapters that you can help support your teachers so that they don't experience that compassion fatigue. So let's explore. I am going to show you the path that I take to get in. I'm just going to search JCPS LibGuides. Mine, obviously I've been there many times. When you get here, this is what your page is going to look like. The Gale in Context for Educators is a wonderful curriculum tool that you all also have access to. I would encourage you to check that out when you have time. But down just slightly is your Gale eBooks professional collection. When you click on it, you will be prompted. As I said, it is JCPSPD. And then you sign in. This is your platform. And there are many ways to access the content. Hopefully you were with us earlier in the week and you're comfortable kind of maneuvering around together, because what I'm going to encourage you to do is to hide my screen. I want you to sort of stop looking at us. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I want you to open up another window. And we're going to kind of do this together. So Andrea and Tara, I'm going to rely heavily on you to sort of work with me and answer questions. What I would like everyone to do is open up another tab and go ahead and search JCPS LibGuide. And I will give you just a moment to do that. I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Can I get a thumbs up that we are there? Okay, go ahead and click on that LibGuide. Scroll down just slightly till you see the eBooks Professional Collection and log in. Your password again is JCPSPD. Those of you, if you get lost or you need help, please don't hesitate to unmute. I want this to be as interactive as possible. Like I said, we're doing this together. So stop me, interrupt me, let me know what you need. But I was thinking we should start our basic search just here with the search bar that is always going to be at the top left of your screen. I am going to start with compassion fatigue. That's going to be my search word. And when I do that, you'll see that I have 4 results. Hopefully you have the same information as I do. And what's great about this is it's already technically a text set. There are 4 chapters in your library that relate back to this. So as I'm sort of walking through the process, the first thing I'm going to do is read this little snippet here. It's kind of my window shopping moment. So the first chapter says, try looking at your mind as a wayward puppy that you were trying to paper train. You don't drop kick a puppy into the neighbor's yard every time it piddles on the floor. You just keep bringing it back to the newspaper. That's really an interesting way to look at it. So I'm going to go ahead and open that in another tab to explore a little further. And then I'm going to read the other summaries here at the top. Again, this is from the same book, which you can see from the thumbnail picture at the left. But as I scroll down, I get to see additional books. And the thing I love about that is when creating a text set, you want to pull in as many voices and perspectives. Some may be much more of a commentary, like conversation with your friends, and others are going to be very analytical, very research-based. So go ahead and open up a couple of these. As I get to my actual content that I could use for sharing with my professional development team, I have some options here at the right. I want you to always pay attention to this because when you're trying to create that text set, this gives you wonderful suggestions. You have the more like this. You have the ability to explore related articles. And then you have additional search terms, which can be super helpful because what I call compassion fatigue may be what someone else calls teacher burnout. Is everyone still following along, or do I need to go back a step?
Nothing in the chat, Lori. I think everyone might be tracking with you.
Perfect. So jumping over here into this article, I want to show you exactly how you're going to do this. An important step for any book study or that is not easy to say. It is very important that you read the content. You need to make sure that you're very familiar with what you are pushing out. So this book, the Mindful School Leader, is actually a commentary. It tells different stories about professionals in the same field, so they're easy to relate to. And here's a story about a sleepless night for Jason. And then it offers you mindfulness and attention training. Regardless of what you see, if you love this, I'm going to show you how to send this out. You could share the entire article with your teachers. You can also take a snippet of it and then highlight it. Maybe take a note, click save, And you can send your highlights and notes out to your teacher that way. You can make multiple highlights and notes within a document. Here, this is a great chapter because it actually gives you practice sets to where you can practice your breathing as you are going along. And any of us who have an Apple Watch know that how important it feels that your Breathe app is, and that we should all just sometimes pause and take that deep breath. So after I'm here is a great, let's see what this one is. This is actually bullet points of a step-by-step on how to sit and meditate. Maybe that is what you want to send out, because I remember we talked about Friday was just for me Friday. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to highlight it in green, and I'm going to take a note. Please do this at least once today. And I'm going to save that. Now that I have it saved and highlighted, I have a couple of choices. And here's where you need to make the choice as to how you want to receive your product. If you are a Google Classroom teacher and you've already got that Google Classroom set up, by all means, push this out to Google Classroom. Since I am not a Google, well, I am, but I'm not sending this to my Google Classroom today because I do want to be able to share it with you. I am going to send this to my Google Drive. And just that quick, it lets me know that my documents have been sent to my Google Drive, and they will appear there shortly. I do have my Google Drive already open because I want to show you what that looks like. And here it is. This is my Google Doc that lets me know it was from the Well-Focused School Leader, and I uploaded it just now. So I can come in, I can click on this, and I have so many things that I can do with it. I can download it, I can print it, I can share it. I am actually going to move it because I've already created a folder for you that I have called JCPS PD Leadership. So I'm going to put this into that leadership folder, and I will be sharing that leadership folder out with all of you. So you will have it for your reference later. And here's what that looks like. This is the start of my text set. I will show you that this is a title that I'd already started. This was called Taking Care of Yourself. And in here, I made lots of wonderful notes and highlights that you can use today. This is taking charge of your inner dialogue, etc. So at this time, we are about halfway through our session, and I do want to pause because I want to start hearing your feedback. I want to help you as you start to do this. Is there another search term that you feel would speak to that compassion fatigue or that teacher burnout? Let's search it together. When I was listening to you, something that popped in my mind is teacher support, because really that's what it boils down to. We need to make sure that we're supporting each other as that sort of happens. And here's a great, but obviously that was a good search term. We got 171 results from your library that speak to teacher support. When you have something like this happen, I'm going to highly encourage you to filter your results. Trying to go through and proofread 171 results would become overwhelming. And if you're like me, it would just be too much and a daunting task. So looking here, this was my topic finder for teacher support. And the topic finder is that visual representation. So what exactly are you looking for as it comes to teacher support? You can see in here that there's instructional design and teaching methods and lesson plans, but that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking more about professional development or maybe collaborative learning. I am going to click on the professional development. And the great thing is here are my results at the right. And that same summary that we were operating off earlier is going to be available for you. You can scroll through all of those to make sure you're finding exactly what you're needing. And Dr. Isaacs, go ahead and give me that search term.
Toxic positivity. I'm going to be surprised if we find it, but we'll see.
You have one result. I have to say I'm not terribly familiar with that term myself, but this says that The chapter is a culture either makes us or breaks efforts to promote school success. Does that sound like it might be something that lends itself to that search term?
Let's see if Yolanda Williams writes back. Thank you also, Yolanda, for sharing that. That lets us know that we could probably use some other types of books in that area.
Sure. And the great thing about the Gale collections is you are not stuck with just one publisher. We do have collections that are themed. We have an entire collection on social emotional learning and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Those topics are kind of grouped together with a great collection of titles. If that's something that you're finding a lot of search terms that you need more support with. And looking at this, the more to explore, it takes a village, social norms, bystanders, and peer mentoring, effectively working with the central office, fueling the learning organization, and then some additional related subjects. But I do want to show you again, if this is a chapter you love and you want to use it, you just need to send it to Google Drive. I'm going to go ahead and send it without any marks to my Google Drive. And then again, one more time, I do want to show you what it looks like when you receive that in your Google Drive. It will come across right as this. When I click into it, I can, of course, open it up, but this is a 31-page chapter. That's a lot of information. Again, once you have the document, you are able to move it into a folder that is pre-created. I am going to put this in the leadership folder that I will be sharing out with you all later. So you will be able to see all of the goodness that has already been curated for you. And if you're able to see my screen right now, you can see that the notes and the highlights that I've taken. If you don't want to send the entire chapter, this is an example I'd like to show you, because what I did is I only kept my highlights and notes. There was a lot of information in this chapter, but I felt it was too cumbersome to send all at once. This is, again, about breathing. So this one, let's see. This was a 30-second breathing exercise. Then I have here in yellow a 1-minute breathing exercise. And at the top, there was my 3-minute breathing exercise. So when you get this folder later, if this is something you want to push out to your teachers right away, or the Just For Me Friday, you have 3 breathing options to help them. And again, here is a hyperlink back to the entire chapter. So that's one of the great things about all of the Gale products, is it always is going to link you back to the book so that it's easy to find more information. Let's see if there is another topic. You know what? We didn't actually search burnout. That's a term I think a lot of us might be familiar with.
Lori, while you're looking, while that's populating, I just want to point out, so as I was going along and following along in your search, a title popped up for me that really caught my eye, and it's Keeping the Professional Candle Lit. And so as I saw that and I clicked into it, it just occurred to me what a great personalized experience this is, right? Because you for your professional development went down one path, and I found another article that really spoke to me, that I can just drop into my Google Drive, or maybe if we're collaborating in a folder together and we're kind of building out resources as a group, I could drop that in because maybe you didn't see it, as you were scrolling through your results. So I just really appreciate how living and breathing this I guess process is, to be able to develop really great resources, not only for yourself but also for each other.
Absolutely. I think that's a wonderful point. Like, what a great thing. As we're doing these searches together, different things are going to speak to different people. And I encourage you to send those to yourself, to review them later. And you all know the power of Google. Once we have something in Google Drive, you can share that document with a colleague or with your mentor mentee, and you can collaborate live in the document. You can take notes that other people see. And maybe you see this as an opportunity to utilize it in this distance learning model where others might not have seen that. So the ability to just kind of bounce ideas back and forth using curated authoritative content from your virtual library is just so powerful. And the number of ways that it can be used is limitless.
Lori and Andrea, how often are resources added to these libraries? To the library?
As often as you purchase them.
Okay.
These books, you own them. These are actually your collection. I do want to mention that right now, due to the distance learning model, Gail has opened up a few resources for free. There's open access, and I will show you that site in case you want to write it down.
Lori, I'll share the link in the chat.
Oh, that'd be great. It's the Gail's COVID response site. So Andrea is going to share that link in the site. If you would want to be able to click into that, there is going to be a collection of titles in there that are not in your current collection. Now, the great thing about the open access resources, you can use them and explore them. And if you save them to your Google Drive, they will never be lost. I'm sure there will come a time in the future when we no longer have free and open access. So I would encourage you to go in and save as many titles and chapters that speak to you now.
Lori, we have a couple other things from the chat room.
Okay.
We've got Brian had a comment and said that it looked the same and he saw everything except, quote, the explore / more like this. And then the second part is a question. Is there a way to save articles in the searches outside of dropping it into the drive?
Yes. So if you want to save information, you can send this to yourself. You can email it to yourself so that you could have that link. Another way is to use the Get Link tool. This is a living, breathing document. Any changes you make to it here, any notes and highlights will not be saved unless you do something with it. If you don't want to send it to Google Classroom, Google Drive, or email it to yourself, maybe you want to post this to a Padlet or a Jamboard, you're going to want to use the Get Link tool. And it does exactly what it sounds like it would. It allows you to get a persistent URL so that next time you want to come back to this article, it is going to have all of your work saved. So with Get Link, you simply select it, copy it, and then you can post that link wherever you choose. One caveat of that, if you were to post that link out on Facebook or Twitter, if they don't have access to your collection, the link will not bring them back to the article. The link is really something used internally. Due to our agreements with publishers, we can't have people obviously sharing out that content across the World Wide Web.
One more clarifying. Brian wrote back that when he did the search under the results, he didn't see the Explore side item.
You will get those when you are in a content. So if I were to do a search, just going back to my burnout because that's quick, I have all of these chapters. So from here, this is going to be my results page. You will have the ability to filter your results from the results page, but you won't see them more like this until you click into a chapter. When you click into a chapter, you will always have the Explore and more like this. And again, if you're having issues getting to those, like I said, there's going to be multiple entry points. I know that it is available in the LibGuides. I also know that it is available in the Professional Development and Learning portal. You could speak to your librarian at your individual buildings and ask that they put the Gale link directly there under teacher resources. But something that I would suggest you do, regardless of how you enter the site, once you get there the first time, go ahead and bookmark it. Then you never have to worry about that. It's just saved in your bookmarks. You might be asked for a password when you log in, but it will always be JC, PS, PD. But I find bookmarking websites is the easiest and most effective way for me. If you're looking here at the top of my screen, you can see I have multiple folders, and inside each folder is multiple links. Just kind of saves me that step. So are there other questions? Are there things you would like me to show you again? I want to make sure that you have clicked around in the website. I want you to feel comfortable with the eBook platform. I do host an office hour for all JCPS employees. It's daily from 12 to 12:30. That way, if you want to jump in and chat with me, if you want me to help you find content, that's what I'm here for. I am happy to do it with you. We have only been working along the search today, but I do want to remind you that you can get to content by browsing your collections here on the left. Your collection was originally purchased to support new teachers in developing their teaching practice. So a lot of the content you're going to find speaks to methodology, and that is great. Absolutely use it for that. So let us know if there are other topics that you would like to see. I will make sure that you have the link to the free resources that Gail is currently offering through our COVID support site, because there's a lot of information about teaching in a virtual environment that I think would be useful.